This is Profiles in Childcare, brought to you by the Advanced Thief River Childcare Collaborative. I'm Deanne Johnson, a member of the collaborative. Today I'm with Liz Gerhart, another member of the collaborative, who also works with the Pennington County Human Service Department, and she's in the Childcare Licensing Division. Welcome to this episode of Resources for Childcare. So I have a few questions for you today, Liz. Can you tell us a little bit about Pennington County Human Services and your role with the agency?
Yeah, so I am Liz Gerhart. I am the supervisor within Human Services. I supervise child protection, mental health services, intake, and then of course also our licensing department. Human Services is an agency for community members within Pennington County. We offer services that range from children's all the way through adulthood, both with different life situations as well as financial assistance.
That's wonderful. So since you do touch on childcare a little bit and you do work with all ages, can you share with us a little bit about your background in childcare?
So I initially started my employment with Pennington County as a licensor. I did that for about a year and a half. From there, I transitioned to another role, and currently I am the supervisor of the licensing department. I also have personal background in childcare, of course, with my own children.
That's wonderful. Okay. So from your perspective, since you're on the licensing side, can you tell us about the need for childcare providers in the Pennington County area?
Yeah, there's a great need for childcare in our area. Pennington County, among other counties, obviously there's a shortage for childcare providers, especially in the infant and toddler age categories. So if anybody is interested, feel free to apply. There are license groups that are specialized for infant and toddler areas that I don't think many people are aware of. So they are able to hold more infant and toddlers within that license category, and we don't have any of those in our county too. So there's some options out there too.
Okay, so that just jumps right into my next question. So with your role in licensing, can you tell us about the process to become a licensed childcare provider?
The first step to becoming a licensed provider is to complete an application. Once that is turned into our agency, that will begin that process. Some of the steps included in getting licensed, you're required to get a background check. Also, any individual living in your home 13 years of age or older. There are home inspections by our licensor. A minimum of 2 visits, could be more depending on your situation, and potentially a fire marshal inspection. You're required to provide 3 letters of reference. There are training requirements, and then it's important that you understand the rules and statutes that govern daycare licensing as well. That process takes roughly 3 to 6 months, depending on your situation.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges that people face as they work through that process?
So some of the challenges we identified as an agency include that background study process. There's fingerprinting that's involved in that, and that whole process is ran through the state, not our agency. So of course there could be some holdups with that process. Initially, there is quite a bit of paperwork that's required to be completed when you're starting up a daycare. And then sometimes the startup costs, as with starting any business, it can potentially cost some money to get you going. However, there are resources to assist new providers in the licensing paperwork, as well as potentially some financial assistance to get them started as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, because things like the kids need to have toys to play with and high chairs and cribs and things like that all cost money as well.
Yeah.
As, I have heard providers that have had to make some minor modifications to their home in order to get licensed. So there are some challenges, but there's definitely lots of resources available so that we can get people licensed and in the area. I am intrigued by the different licensure for more infants and toddlers, because I agree that is the biggest need in the community. Okay, so my next question is, how do you help providers as they prepare to be licensed or as they continue their career as a childcare provider?
So the licensor is really their go-to person through this process. That licensor is going to help them every step of the way. They're going to go through the requirements in depth with them to make sure that they understand what's expected of them. They're going to go through, prior to licensing, the licensor is going to go through any corrections that are needed and any documentation that's going to need to be completed. They're always there to answer questions or concerns that the applicant may have. As their provider, the license holder or the licensor is required to make annual visits within their childcare. So again, they're going to address any concerns and making sure that they're compliant with licensing requirements and health and safety standards. But ultimately, as a licensor, we're there to help support the license holder, as well as follow the rules and statutes that govern being a licensed provider. So really the licensor really wants our providers to succeed. And so we do what we can to make that happen.
That's awesome. I do know the current licensor, she's been out to our networking sessions that we've been providing for the providers in the area and offered some kind of question and answer sessions to, clarify anything. I do also know she refers people to different training opportunities too, so they can meet all of their training requirements. Okay, so my last question is, if someone is interested in becoming a licensed provider, how can they reach you?
So they'll want to reach out to our agency. So they can contact Human Services by phone, and they can ask for the licensor. The licensor can walk them through any questions they may have. And then from there, if they're interested in applying, then the licensor will send out a licensing packet to the individual along with the rules and regulations that go along with that.
Sounds great. And off the top of your head, do you know the number they would call?
Yep, so they would call 218-681-2880.
Awesome. Well, that is great. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us today. That's Profiles in Childcare, brought to you by the Advanced Thief River Childcare Collaborative. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at Advanced Thief River TRF Childcare and on YouTube at Advanced Thief River.